Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MTV Movie Club. Now playing, I'm Beth, and I am one half of the Made for TV Movie Club podcast, where we talk about amazing TV movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and some not so amazing. But here on YouTube, we mix things up a little bit with reviews of current movies and TV shows, plus interviews with people who currently work in the entertainment industry. Our podcast celebrates the classics of the late 20th century TV and film, but this channel lets us share our love for the modern entertainment world and the people creating in it today. So without further ado, let's get into it, you guys. I'm so excited. This is not going to be a long video at all, but I saw Shaun Cassidy live the other night, and I just wanted to come on and talk about it because it was such a nostalgic and beautiful evening that I just felt like I had to come out here. I know I don't normally talk about the concerts I go to, which I actually go to quite a few of them. Mostly we've been trying, Casey and I, she's my podcast partner and one of my besties, and she and I have been trying to go see all of our favorite bands from the 80s. This year alone, I've been so lucky. I was able to see Lost 80s live. So there was a lot of bands in that one. And I actually met Belouis Sum, who performed in that, at our hotel. He was staying at our hotel. And oh, what a nice guy. It was a great show. Icicle Works was there. Flock of Seagulls, Men Without Hats. It was just such a really good show. And we saw Simple Minds with Soft Cell. And of course, one of the members of Soft Cell passed away this year. So couple months ago. So we did see him a few months before he died. Modern English, we've been able to see. I've seen Elvis Costello. One of my favorites this year was Morrissey. And I just thought he was so amazing. And I really am sorry that he had to cancel the rest of his tour because of exhaustion. And I feel bad for anybody who wasn't able to see him because I just had such a great time at that show. Just by chance, through happenstance, I ended up having to go alone through to the concert, and I'm so glad I did because I was able to just be in the moment and listen to him sing and listen to him talk. But one of the things that Morrissey and Shaun Cassidy actually have in common, although there might not be a lot, is that they both opened their show with just a real gratefulness for the audience that came and was just thankful to have us in the audience. And I really appreciate that about bands because it's hard to make a connection. We make a connection to our favorite bands, we make a connection to our favorite artists, but it's hard to know if they have that same connection or feeling towards you. And so when they're so gracious, it's always such a blessing to have them tell you that, because Morrissey doesn't know how many times I cried listening to Smith songs over boys that I was dating or breakups or whatever. And for me with Shaun Cassidy, it's really about the nostalgia as well. I was very young. I was 9 years old, probably 8, might have even been 7 when Hardy Boys Nancy Drew started. So it's probably 7 through 9. I think it was on for 3 seasons. And in the early 2000s, it actually was streaming. The Hardy Boys Nancy Drew was streaming on not streaming. It was playing on a TV station here in town, a local one. And so I'd started watching it. And then I ended up buying the DVDs and I rewatched the series. And I really loved it. I had forgotten about a lot of the things in the heart of the show that I loved so much with, Frank and Joe Hardy and Mr. Hardy, the dad, and all of the music and the mystery and all of the things that I loved when I was a child. And one of the things I've talked about over the years, not on the show at all, I might have mentioned it on the audio podcast, but when I was 7 years old and the show had just started, I actually wrote Shaun Cassidy a love letter. And I've been saying all these years, I'm waiting for that letter back, which of course I'm not, because despite all of the things that I feel about the bands and the actors and the musicians and all of the things I love, I'm not super interested in the private lives of the artists that I talk about on the show. Even though I talk about how much I love Shaun Cassidy and how much I loved him as a child, I'm not particularly interested in his private life, although he did talk quite a bit about it, and I found it really interesting. So I am, though, Shaun, waiting for that letter, so I do hope you send it. However, I had a great time. I went with my Aunt Cindy and my friend Kristen, who's been on the show. I think it was, and we talked about the librarians, and I want to say it was in June or July if you want to go back and watch that. And we just had a really great time because it just felt so um, familiar, if that makes any sense. Because I do actually still try and watch the Hardy Boy Nancy Drew. It's streaming. I can find it streaming, and I have all 3 seasons on DVD. And it's interesting because the summer I broke them out and I started watching them again. I do every, I don't know, 3 or 4 years just because I have such a nostalgia for it. And we actually did an episode about the one where they meet Dracula with Paul Williams, who also is a beloved person to me because of his connection with the Muppets and how much he's done for us as a pop culture. Um, from the 70s and 80s in particular, he was so much a part of the pop culture. He's written so many songs that people don't even know he wrote. So that's why we actually wanted to talk about it. So we did that, and then we did talk about a TV movie that he starred in, and we are actually going to talk about a TV movie that he wrote called Strays sometime in the next year on the audio podcast if you want to hear it. But anyway, he did all the hits. Hey, Dee Dee, Do You Believe in Magic? To Do Run Run. Hey There, Lonely Girl. People were getting up and dancing and having just a great time. And like, before the show started, we're talking to people. And I think when you have somebody like Shaun Cassidy, who is just such a beloved, nostalgic memory, it's hard not to want to talk to people about it when you are in an event like that where everybody's there to see Shaun Cassidy. People were wearing t-shirts, everybody's talking about it. There was a podcast that was there. I don't remember the name of it, but they were like handing out candy, and they had a big 6-foot tall Shaun Cassidy cutout, I guess you call them, that you could take pictures with. And it was fun. I mean, everybody just was in a great mood. There was a woman sitting next to Kristen who, at the end of the show, Shaun Cassidy threw out his guitar pick. He was playing bass guitar. And he threw it out into the audience, and the woman next to us caught it. So everybody around was like, oh, can I take a picture with it? And so she was just really gracious and really lovely woman. And everybody just loved it. And we were all talking about it and how great the show was. And he did a couple of my favorite songs of his that he wrote. One of them is called Teen Dreams, and the other one is called Walk Away. He actually did that as a duet on the Hardy Boys Nancy Drew. And I remember as a child how much I loved that song. And I did have a Shaun Cassidy album. I don't remember which one that was on, but he had it on one of his albums too. So it's kind of fun to see him doing these older tunes that he didn't write, plus songs he did. He also sang a song from Blood Brothers called Tell Me It's Not True that he did on Broadway when he starred with his brother David, who's since passed away. So his nephew Cole, who was on tour with him and plays guitar, sang the part that David sang on Broadway, and that was really, really lovely. He also talked about, or sang a song, talked a little bit about the song was gifted to him by Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, and just a genius musician by everybody's standards. But it's a song called It's Like Heaven that he sang. He also wrote a new song called The Last Song, which I loved it. Thankfully, it's on Spotify. The entire set list is on Spotify. So if you want to listen to any of these songs, you can listen to them. But I really recommend listening to The Last Song. He played piano, which was so lovely. He switched back and forth between playing piano and bass guitar. And then he ended the show with a song called Till There Was You, which is a song that his mother sang from Music Man, and apparently she ended her shows with it when she used to go on tour. And I think she might have even had a Vegas residency, though I'm not 100% sure. If you know, his mother was Shirley Jones, and he did a lot of storytelling. He talked about his father Jack, who divorced his mother when he was a teenager. Jack Cassidy was a very famous character actor, and I think he did a lot of Broadway shows. His half-brother David was on the Partridge Family. They both had a very similar rise to fame, which he talks about. He talks about his beloved mother, who is now in her 90s, and he does still put pictures of her on his Instagram. So he does show that, and I love that. And he talked about how he met his wife and how what their life together is like now. And he's got 7 kids. So he did. It's almost like storytelling meets musician for an evening. And if you get a chance and you like Shaun Cassidy, I suggest trying to find him. I know he's going to be on tour for another couple of months. I don't remember how far into the tour he was when he came to Brookfield, Wisconsin. That's where I saw him, at the Sheridan Center for the Arts. But if you get a chance, I highly recommend trying to see him. One thing that I didn't even realize, now I had seen him in 2020. We've talked about this on the audio podcast. Casey and I went down to Chicago to see him at the Chicago Winery, but it was still it wasn't in shutdown, but things were still opening up. He only had, it was basically an acoustic show, and it wasn't a bad show. We really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I went to see that one, but I really liked this one better. Part of it also was we were in the second row, so we were so close. But one thing I forget about Shaun Cassidy is how beautiful his voice is, how strong it is. Because when you hear him singing "Do Run Run" on the radio when you're a kid, right, you don't notice his range. It's not as noticeable. It's not as forward, because they kind of sort of not necessarily are they trying to focus on the record company, focusing on, oh, let's show this strong voice, but let's show this voice and personality and that kind of thing. It happens like when I saw Elvis Costello when he was playing live, I forgot how bluesy he is, because in his records you just don't hear that. It's, things change, and during editing and processing and all of the other things, sometimes some of that stuff gets lost, and it really wasn't at all as strong. His voice is still as strong, as beautiful as ever. So I just wanted to jump on here and talk about how much I enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. If you want more content from us, you can listen to our audio podcast, the Made for TV Movie Club. That's on your favorite podcast app. You can listen to us on our socials. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. And I love getting private messages. So DM me if you want to have us talk about a new movie on this channel or TV show, or if you have a favorite TV movie that you want us to review, give us a holler, and we will see you next time in the clubhouse.